There is evil in him. With these words, the most powerful emperor in the region sentenced an obscure commander to death. He thought he was closing a chapter, but he unwittingly started a war. How did a fugitive outplay 3 empires to rule for a century? This is the true story of the Game of Thrones and its founder, Baz bin Dostak.
To understand the magnitude of this miracle, we must go back in time to a world that was breathing its last breaths. The Abbasid Caliphate in Baghdad, which once ruled the Islamic world, was nothing more than a pale shadow of its former self. The Caliph was a prisoner in his palace, merely a puppet in the hands of military commanders. The dominant force in the heart of the Islamic world, from Iraq to Persia, was the Buyid state. The Buyids were a dynasty from Dayalam, fierce mountain warriors from the south of the Caspian Sea who controlled Baghdad itself in 945. Their greatest ruler of all was Adud al-Dawla Fana Khusro. He was a true emperor, ruling with skill and an iron fist, and his state extended from the coasts of Oman in the south to Azerbaijan in the north. It seemed that the rule of the Buyids would last forever. But in 983, the unexpected happened. Adud al-Dawla, the pillar that was holding this massive structure, died. With his death, cracks began to appear everywhere. His sons and relatives pounced on his legacy, and a bitter, bloody struggle for power began. Suddenly, the empire that seemed like solid rock turned into quicksand. In the north, there was another power watching this collapse. The Byzantine Empire, the historical enemy of the Caliphate, was living its second golden age. The Byzantines regained their strength and began a fierce counteroffensive, exploiting the weakness and fragmentation of their Muslim enemies. The area of Amid, now known as Diyarbakir, was an open battlefield fought over by the remnants of the Arab Hamdanid state, the advancing Byzantines from the west, and the Buyids fighting among themselves. In the heart of this geopolitical hurricane, opportunities were born for those who dared to seize them. And in the Hakkari Mountains, there was a man watching the scene. He was not a prince, nor the son of a king, but the leader of a Kurdish clan named Baz bin Dostak. And just like the falcon, which is the meaning of his title Baz in Kurdish, he was about to swoop down from his mountain strongholds like a storm that would change the face of the region forever.
Before Baz became a key player, he was merely a local leader. Initially, he tried to go with the flow, establishing friendly relations with the Buyids and providing them with aid against their Hamdanid rivals. This matter drew the attention of the Buyid Adud al-Dawla, who arrived in Mosul. Baz hastened to pledge allegiance within the delegations of well-wishers, but it was a revealing moment. Adud al-Dawla realized that the man before him was not just a subordinate, and fearing his rebellion, he issued orders to betray and arrest him. But Baz was just as cunning. He sensed the danger and disappeared, returning to the mountains. Baz was forced to stop his hostilities against Byzantium and tried to conclude a treaty with Emperor Basil II to help him recover his lands, but the Buyids intervened and thwarted the treaty. Baz returned to his strongholds, waiting for the right moment, and in 983, the news he was waiting for arrived. Adud al-Dawla had died. The chaos that followed his death and the rise of his successor, Samsam al-Dawla, was the cover he needed. Baz exploited the political vacuum, and at the request of the region's inhabitants, he and his men pounced on the cities of Amid. He seized Myafarikan, now known as Silvan, and made it his capital, then the current Amid, and appointed his brother, Abu al-Fawaris, as its governor, while he devoted himself to expansion.
As soon as Baz laid his hand on Amid, he became a regional power that could not be ignored. The Buyids, Samsam al-Dawla, tried to subdue him, sending a military campaign that ended in failure. In fact, Baz seized Mosul itself at the request of its inhabitants, and it was rumored that he would invade Baghdad. The Buyids were forced to ally with their old enemies, the Hamdanids, inciting them to invade Amid, but their army met defeat as well. The Buyids resorted to attempting to assassinate him, but it failed, so they were forced to conclude a truce with him in 985. The truce did not last long, as Baz renewed his expansionist movements, and this time the Buyids allied against him with the Arab Banu Uqayl. A grinding battle took place in which Baz suffered defeat and lost his brother and right-hand man, Abu al-Fawaris, and he lost Mosul to the Hamdanids. In the year 990, Baz tried to reclaim Mosul. He moved with a military campaign and corresponded with his supporters inside the city, but the intervention of Banu Uqayl once again prevented that. A fierce battle raged outside the walls. In the midst of the fighting, and while he was trying to change his horse, luck betrayed him. Baz fell and his collarbone was broken, so his enemies managed to overcome and kill him. The Hamdanids crucified his body on the walls of Mosul, but the people of the city, who loved him, revolted. They took down the body, prayed over it, and buried it. It seemed that the dream of the state had died with him, but the wind had not yet settled.
In the chaos that followed the killing of Baz, his nephew, sister's son, Abu Ali al-Hasan bin Marwan emerged. His first strategic decision was to head directly to Hisn Kaifa to secure Baz's treasuries and his family. There, he ensured the loyalty of the founder's family and controlled his wealth, then married his uncle's widow to cement his legitimacy. In a symbolic move, he changed the name of the state from Doustaki to Marwanid, attributed to his father Marwan, to present himself as the founder of a ruling dynasty. Abu Ali was not just a warrior but a skilled diplomat. He concluded a 10-year truce with Byzantium and established understandings with his Armenian neighbors. In 996, he negotiated with the Hamdanids, offering to marry their princesses, which they welcomed. But fate was lying in wait for him. The following year, while on his way to Amid to conclude his marriage, an assassination plot was orchestrated against him, taking his life. He was succeeded by his brother, Abu Mansur Sayyid, who bore the title Mumahid al-Dawla, preparer of the state. He followed his brother's foreign policy, settling border and trade issues with the Byzantines, and completed the marriage to the Hamdanid princess Sit al-Nas. He succeeded in extracting recognition from the great powers, the Buyids, the Abbasids, and the Fatimids. Domestically, his reign was characterized by stability thanks to his just policy. But after a rule lasting nearly 15 years, in the spring of 1011, Mumahid al-Dawla was killed in a conspiracy plotted by his corrupt minister, Sharwa, who announced the fall of the state. However, the Kurdish clan leaders refused to submit to the usurper. They freed Ahmad bin Marwan, the brother of the slain ruler, from his prison and pledged allegiance to him as emir. In 1011, Ahmad bin Marwan ascended the throne and took for himself the title Nasr al-Dawla. His reign, which extended for half a century, was the true golden age of the Marwanid state. He followed a unique policy, as he preferred peace over war, and he also strengthened the status of his state through marriage alliances, marrying a Shaddadid princess, an Uqaylid one, and the daughter of the king of Armenia. This policy yielded peace and prosperity, and the Marwanid state turned into an oasis of security. Ibn Kathir says, "His lands were the safest of lands, the best of them, and the most just. Its cities flourished. Nasr al-Dawla built the city of Ansiria, constructed bridges and canals, and established a magnificent palace in the capital Mayafarikin. His court became a beacon for knowledge, attracting scholars and poets, and a safe haven for political refugees.
The state reached the peak of its prestige in 1013, when delegations from the three great powers arrived at the capital in one day: the envoy of the Abbasid Caliph, the envoy of the Fatimid Caliph, and the envoy of the Byzantine Emperor, carrying with them gifts and official recognition. The economy flourished so much that the physician Ibn Butlan wrote that the number of deaths decreased and doctors and gravediggers became jobless.
But this golden age was not without challenges. In 1025, a war broke out with Byzantium over the city of Edessa, Urfa, and the situation did not stabilize until 1038. The state was also subjected to invasions by Turkish tribes affiliated with the Seljuks in 1042. Nasr al-Dawla died in 1061, leaving behind a massive void and sons disputing the inheritance. Just 2 years after his son Nizam al-Din took power, his brother, Said, defected from him and sought help from the Seljuk Sultan Alp Arslan. The Seljuks intervened and imposed the division of the emirate between the two brothers. Seljuk harassments were repeated, and in 1066, Alp Arslan sent a campaign that looted the outskirts of the capital. After the death of Nizam al-Din in 1080, his son Nasr al-Dawla Mansur assumed power at a time when the ambitions of the Seljuk Sultan Malik Shah were increasing. Malik Shah sent an army led by the former minister Ibn Jahir to topple the state, but Nasr al-Dawla repelled him. In the year 1086, the Seljuk Sultan repeated his campaign and seized most of the state's lands. Nasr al-Dawla refused to surrender and decided to resist. The opportunity arose with the death of Malik Shah in 1092. He exploited the conflict between his heirs, regained his cities, and entered his capital, Mayafarakin, in 1093, bringing the state back to life. But the end was imminent. The Seljuk Sultan Tutush ben Alp Arslan moved with overwhelming force. In a final confrontation near Mosul, Nasr al-Dawla and his allies suffered a crushing defeat. The Seljuks swept through the country and seized Mayafarakin once and for all, putting an end to the Kurdish Dosteki state after it had lived for more than a century.
At the peak of its expansion, the borders of the Dosteki state extended from the Euphrates River to the south of Mosul and north of Tikrit, and from the northeast of Lake Van to Urfa. It included important cities such as Amid, Bitlis, and Ahlat. It also included the Hakkari region, and its influence extended to reach lands located today within Syria, such as parts of Kamishli, Derek, and Serekanye, forming a contiguous geographical entity in the heart of Kurdistan.
Thus, the curtain fell on the real Game of Thrones started by Baz ben Dostek, a story that began with the ambition of a man in a time of chaos, reached its peak in a golden age of peace and prosperity, and then ended on the defeat of a new global power. The story of the Marwani state reminds us that the Kurds, throughout their history, were not just victims, but were active players, capable of establishing prosperous states when the historical opportunity arose. It is the story of the wind that blew from the mountains, established a kingdom from the heart of chaos, and left behind a legacy whose echo still resonates to this day.